Hello from the road. Sorry about the audio quality, but not sorry at the same time. But thank you if you come to watch my video. Oh, I have allergies, guys. I love the plants. I love the flowers, the trees, and the leaves. The sound when the wind rushes through them. The swaying and everything about them is fantastic and wonderful. But I'm not a fan of the allergies. This is a fact. Okay, I'm going to talk for just a couple of minutes. Guys, I think a lot of people have been misled and tricked. All right? Listen to me. Think about this. I'm going to try and simplify this. Try to demystify the mystical in a simple way. This is such a task. I think I'd rather figure out how to pull a real rabbit out of a hat with no tricks involved than try to do this one. But I'm gonna. Think about this. We are on this planet. Everything around us. God flows through it. God make manifest everything. God created everything. If you want to call it the unseen intelligence, if you want to call it, it's not the universe. The universe is just a name for what houses everything inside of it. We got to go down below the superficial level of it all to try and even grasp what it is, if it is possible to grab it at all. It's like an energy. It is an energy. It flows through everything, and there's many theories and theologies, philosophies, ideas on how this all came to be and why it came to be, but we're not here to discuss all the trivial details. We're here to say this. Everybody, at least in America, I can't talk about what's happening everywhere else, and I really can't talk about what's happening outside of Alabama and the little space of Alabama that I'm in. I really can't tell you every little facet of everything because I don't know. All I know is that I don't know. No better words have ever been spoken or written, ever. And that's okay to not know. But I'm going to tell you something. Think about that. Out of nothing came everything. Just because. God may have said, I want to do it for no reason. God may have had a reason. But here we are. And so people got tricked by and large. They got sold an idea that you had to participate in the way someone tells you to participate in life or you don't get to survive. Well, that's bull crap. All right? Out of nothing, you popped up. You are spoken into existence. Everything was spoken into existence. Energy flowed through everything, and here we are. And some people who are a little more greedy than they should be and have their own ideas told you, you have to come participate in this idea, this concept, this system that I made. You have to do that or you don't get to survive. Well, God says different. If you need and you have faith, even just a little bit, whatever you need will appear. That is the work of God. If you are hungry, God will make food appear. I don't know why, I don't know how. It's probably not going to poof out of thin air. It's going to make logical sense why it appeared, but you will have food. So, like, if you need shelter, God will make it so. Whatever you need, it will come to you if you have just a little bit of faith and acknowledge that God is involved and playing a role. And so, what you need to do is stop worrying about being, it's a lot like we're being held hostage. Because the truth is, survival is not this hard. Let's talk about this for a second. Even when people were actively going in a forest and chopping down logs and making the house themselves, that was a great deal of effort. That was a great deal of work. There's nothing wrong with hard work to accomplish something, but you are not a machine, and even machines wear out. You're not a perpetual energy device, even though you're surrounded by infinite amounts of energy. The fact is, at some point, you've got to hit the goal, and the work stops. The goal has been hit. This is awful, what has happened on Earth. This is awful. It's plain out disgusting when you think about it, all right? Even when people were going in the forest, back to what I was just on, I have allergies really bad, and my head is kind of foggy, so I'm sorry if I'm going in circles. I'm trying to make it make sense. And so, even when we were going in the forest, chopping down the logs ourselves and making a home, and then we'd go outside and we would plow a field and we'd grow the food, or we'd hunt, or we'd gather, or whatever. That took a great deal of effort and energy, but people could do that because they said, well, I'm going to have this build. It's going to take a couple of months, but after that I get to kind of sit down for a few minutes. In this modern world, think about this. What took a few months, maybe a year to do, build a home for yourself and you have a happy family and all of those things. Now they've trapped you into 30 years of payments. You can't guarantee your job's going to exist in a week. How you about to pay for that home over the course of 30 years in today's world if you do it the traditional way? What's my way? I say go find some cheap land and, build something to live in and live on it. Find unrestricted land. And a lot of places are doing away with that. A lot of states are. Don't go the subdivision route. Find some way that you can buy cheap land, that you can do whatever you want on it, and then you won't have to play the game for 30 years because the game's not stable. It never was stable. When you watch these talking heads on the news, when you hear them talk about the default position, the reference point they're describing, that the American way, the American dream, it was like that for 5 minutes in all of American history. That is not a great reference point. It is not, because people were able to live like that for all of maybe 1 or 2 generations out of all the generations of Americans. That's not the reference point. That was a good time in American history. And we can say that what came about because of bad things, absolutely. Everything is good and bad. I alone create good and evil. Is that not what is written in Isaiah? Do the Buddhists not say good and evil is all part of the same picture? But the point is that I'm making in very simple words is this: that Americans at one point could go out into the woods and basically draw a line around a piece of land they're standing on and fence it in with crude fences, and it was theirs. And you had to work. Don't let me tell you that farm work is not hard, because it is. It's emotionally hard, it's physically hard, but it's not like a job. And let me say why. Because I've done the farm. I'm still currently building up a new farm, but that's neither here or there. And then there's going to a job every day and you've got people micromanaging you, and you are expected to work, and they're paying you for your time. So you got, people don't understand. You're selling your time to somebody at a discount, basically, because you've got to be competitive. You're participating in a weird capitalist system without even knowing it. Someone's walking you through the process. You sell your time, your labor, your life at a discount to someone who is somehow making a way to sell it for even more than you sold it to them right out the gate. So, of course, they're going to want every drop of labor out of you. And I understand. I'm not a favor of any of these systems. I'm not here to talk about economics, but I happen to, it's like ingrained inside of me to talk about economics. It's hardwired, sorry. So back to what I was saying is that when you do farm work, unless you're working for someone, which is what I just said, but if you're on your own farm, raising your own food, raising your own livestock, doing your own thing, you can work for an hour, then go take a break for 2 hours, especially with modern machinery, and you can get everything done. You can get everything done. I can't talk about how a giant factory farm works. I'm talking about the little family farm. I'm not talking about industry. You go out there and you can say, I got to do this really hard thing. And you wrestle, maybe, something that takes a lot of energy, a lot of physical energy into it. And then you're wore out after like an hour. You pumped everything you had into it. You get up that morning, you get your tools, everything, and then you pump everything you've got into this one job. And maybe it takes an hour or two, and then you're done. But you're wore out. There is nobody standing over you saying, keep going, peasant. There's no one standing over you going, you can't just be idle. We're living in a twilight zone. I know we are. Some people believe that, some people are advocating that there's more than one dimension, and I don't know. I know I'm right here in this dimension right now. I mean, universe. There are other dimensions. Don't kid yourself, okay? But as far as I know, I've only been to this universe. I have no clue, and I'm not going to tell you that they're wrong either, because I don't know. I may be walking along one day, go to sleep, wake up, and all of a sudden everything is completely, the trees are blue, but I remember green trees, and I'll know, all right, that idea is correct because I woke up in another universe. But so what I'm getting at here, guys, we've been tricked. We've been tricked. And I'm not saying get vindictive and get angry. Don't generate that kind of energy. All right? That's awful energy to generate. That does all kinds of awful things. But what I'm telling you is this. We've been tricked. And, the good news is, right now at this moment in time, what you can do about it. This might not hold true forever. You read books where advice the writer gave you or author gave you at one point probably worked in the time they wrote it, but you can't change the text in a book so easy. But I'm going to tell you what you can do about it. Right now, at this moment in time, the only thing you can really do is do what I said. Go find some unrestricted land. And if you go buy some unrestricted land, you make damn sure that whoever you buying it from can prove that it don't have no restrictions, that there aren't any enforcement agencies that are county run or city run or whatever. You make damn sure, because if you buy it and then those pop up, you're grandfathered in. You're technically not. It doesn't apply to you if you did some things before that agency emerged. So you're in the clear. All right. But if you buy it and there are those things, if you buy it and there are those things, all right, then you're at the mercy of those things. Is it right that you bought something and there's all these contraptions and control mechanisms in place to stop you from utilizing what you outright, fairly, and honestly bought that is yours? No, it's not. But I can't, I'm telling you what you do right now to avoid all of that. You go find unrestricted land, you go develop you some skills, you build your own little home, and it may not look like the one in the subdivision, but it can look like a nice little home. You may not get, it's up to you if you get all the bells and whistles, because you'll be the one doing it. And, you learn these skills. Skills right now are what will make you free. Right now, skills are what make you free. If you can't do for yourself, it wouldn't matter if the government vanished tomorrow. And that doesn't mean be a selfish piece of crap. If someone needs you and you want to help them, I suggest you do. You help each other. Because what's underneath that skin level of them is you. It's the God. It's the Spirit through us all. And that's what makes us all the same, because that's what we are. What you got to do is you got to go gain the skills. Skills make you free in this modern world. If some people believe money does, you got to be able to make some, because everybody needs to buy something. That's how you get it in this world, unless, you find another way that's not about stealing and things of that nature. But skills make you free. Skills make you free. And if you go out into the world, and you need something, God is right there. And God is the force that made all of this fantastic, beautiful everything appear. And if God did that, God will make whatever you need appear. All you need to do is believe and have faith. That's all. Where there is faith, there is hope. You can't. This system is cruel, and it's corrupt, and it's not great. It worked for all of 5 minutes in world, maybe 5 seconds of world history. Did the system that we live under work for everyone? And it was a fluke, because they fixed the fluke. They took the fluke away, so now everybody is just and they try and that this system, it's gonna die anyways. All right, we got robotics on the way. We've got AI that's already here being implemented. The masses are not going to be able to eat if something isn't done on a mass scale. If they turn back to God, they have no worries. They'll have no problems. But if they continue to follow men and women and other humans that say they've got all the answers and they're going to walk and just follow me, you're going off a cliff like them pigs. You see, you want to know a metaphor? You have in the Bible, when Jesus walked the earth and he met the person that had all the demons in them that said, "We are legion." And God cast and Jesus cast legion out of the man and went into all the pigs, and they ran off of the cliff. The demon was all these people that are swearing, "Follow me, follow me, follow me. I'm going to take you where you need to go." And then they all ran off the cliff and drowned. But the man that turned back to God didn't drown. A demon came out of him. Legion, all the demons came out of him. So look, don't follow people around that are telling you that if you just do these things, You'll have it all, because we got a thing right now going on this planet where people have put their faith in a system that lacks a spiritual component. All right, no civilization, country, tribe, or nation has ever survived without some form of energy management the people practiced in some way. And you don't have to have just one. That's where fighting begins, when people are like, well, that one's different than mine, and then they start fighting. But you got to have some spiritual thing going on. I'm not talking about going down to the local Hot Topic and buying some beads and throwing them on yourself and not showering and walking around stinking, talking about, I'm spiritual, brah. You are nasty. You are unwashed and uncleaned. You have turned something that belongs to God into filth, a cheap imitation. So this is what you got to do. All right? You got to get some skills. You got to go get you some skills. And you got to trust God. You got to turn to God. God will be there. God's there. Don't listen to the Egberts and the eggheads of this world that are swearing up and down, well, God can't be proven and explained. Well, that's science's limitation, ain't it? But it's not the limitation of the Spirit. We walk not by sight, not by what can be proven, by measurements and tests and any other reason, but we walk by faith. Because we've experienced something that no form of science can explain. And no form of logic and philosophy can explain. Science is great at measuring things with an instrument. Science is great at finding out what is happening as it's happening, but it's not great at explaining what exactly is happening or assigning real meaning or what it means to things. It can say 2 + 2 is 4. It can say there are, with this microscope we found bacteria. It can do those kinds of things. But science can simply not explain why or what is happening in context and meaning. It can explain in a way mechanical reasons that things are happening. What is occurring while something is happening. But it can't explain what's going on. All right, it can't assign meaning to what's going on. All right, so I'm gonna give you an example because that's confusing. I'm having an allergy fever right now. I can't focus myself. That's a mechanical defect of the body. So, if the ocean stands up, if the ocean splits and stands up when a man waves a staff over it, science can look at the cellular things and the mechanical reactions, but it will never come to the conclusion that God empowered that man to raise the ocean up. Science just simply cannot do that. All right, those are acts of faith and they're spiritual acts. All right, I'm exhausted now. I got to go take a nap. I want everybody to have a good day. I hope everything goes your way. I hope you're both blessed and both cursed, and I hope God is always with you. Have a good day.